Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and today we are going to be talking about my most anticipated releases for July through September. So it's kind of funny how my list worked out this time. It is 95% Christian fiction. It just worked out that way, and we're going to go with it. I have one middle grade to talk about, and the rest are Christian fiction. So I'll go by month just because it's a little bit easier. Hopefully Goodreads will be nice and have them all kind of organized. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one I want to talk about is The Heart of the Mountains by Paperbacks. This is the first book in the My Heart Belongs in the Blue Ridge series. I don't know how many books there are going to be, so I don't want to describe the first book or the second book because there might be spoilers. So let's go ahead and check out the first book, which is Laurel's Dream. And I did have it checked out from the library so I could read the second one, but it was due back, so I re-requested it, and hopefully I can get it soon. So this one says, dreams are precious commodities in the Blue Ridge Mountains of 1918, and Laurel McAdams is attempting to make hers come true. But sometimes life in the mountains has a way of squandering dreams. As she attempts to avoid matrimony, she is secretly saving for her future with the sole purpose of becoming a teacher and bringing consistent education back to her people. So it sounds pretty good. It sounds like a kind of like a prairie style story going on, 1918. So I'm interested to check this one out. So that is the first book that is coming out. That one's coming out to July 1st. All right, then the second book that I'm going to talk about is The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunsvold. And I do really like this cover. It kind of reminds me of like an old vintage journal or something. And so this one says, Aidan Kelly is talented, ambitious, and ready for a more serious assignment than the fluff pieces she's been getting as a cub reporter for the Kansas City Star. In her eagerness, she pushes too far, earning herself the menial task of writing an obituary for an unremarkable woman who's just entered hospice care. But there's more to Clara Kipp than meets the eye. The spirited woman may be dying, but she's not quite ready to cash in yet. Never one to shy away from an assignment herself, she can see that God brought the young reporter into her life for a reason. And if it's a story Aidan Kelly wants, that's just what Mrs. Kipp will give her, but she's going to have to work for it. So it sounds like it might be pretty heartbreaking, but I'm excited to see what this lady's story is going to be for this reporter. So that is the second one that's coming out, and that one's coming out again on July 5th. And then we have two books coming out on July 12th. The first one is Edge of Dusk by Colleen Coble, and this one is the first one in a series called Annie Pedersen. So the Annie Pedersen series. I do really enjoy Colleen Coble. Most of her books end up being 4 or 5 stars for me. So I'm excited to see a new series come out. The cover is really pretty. I do love like her kind of sunset, outdoors type of her usual nature. That's the word. Nature covers that she comes out with. So this one says, let's see. Even though secrets lie off the coast of Rock Harbor, we're returning back to Rock Harbor. If you don't know, the Rock Harbor series is my favorite series of Colleen Coble so far that I've read. So I'm excited to see it coming back. I knew she was, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be this book or not. All right, so sorry about that. The truth will set Annie Pedersen free if it doesn't kill her first. 9-year-old Annie Pedersen's life changed the night her sister was kidnapped. The two had been outside playing on a dock, and Annie never forgave herself for her role in her sister's disappearance. 24 hours later, and now a law enforcement ranger, Annie is still searching for answers as she grieves a new loss, the death of her husband and parents in a boating accident. But Annie and her 8-year-old daughter Kylie aren't the only people in the town of Rock Harbor whose lives have been marred by tragedy. While managing the property around the Tremola Resort and Marina she inherited, Annie discovers a dead body floating in the cold Superior surf and begins to work with the sheriff's office to tie the death to a series of other mysterious reports in the area. Okay, this one sounds like it's going to probably be a 4 or 5 star. I'm excited to get to this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So the next book that is coming out on July 12th, this cover is gorgeous. It is The Italian Ballerina by Christy Cambron, and I just love the cover and that outfit that she's wearing. It's gorgeous. But yeah, so this is, I'm guessing, World War II. I'm guessing. But let's see. So it says, a prima ballerina Two American medics and a young Jewish girl with no name at the height of the Nazi occupation of Rome, an unlikely band of heroes comes together to save Italian Jews in this breathtaking World War II novel based on real historical events. So that's cool. I always love historical fiction that's based on real events. I think that it makes it even more of an impact. So it says Rome, 1943, with the fall of Italy's fascist government and the Nazi regime occupying the streets of Rome, British ballerina Julia Bradbury is stranded and forced to take refuge at a hospital on Tiber Island. But when she learns of a deadly sickness that is sweeping through the quarantine wards, a fake disease known only as Syndrome K, she is drawn into one of the greatest cons in history. So, wow, that sounds good. And I guess it's also dual timelines. We have a present day as well. So with the recent loss of her grandfather in present day, a beloved small-town doctor and World War II veteran, Delaney Coleman, returns home to help her aging parents, even as she struggles to pick up the pieces of her own life. When a mysterious Italian woman claims she owns one of the family's precious heirlooms, Delaney is compelled to uncover what's true of her grandfather's hidden past. So this one sounds really good. I can't wait to read this one. And then the next one comes out on July 19th, and this one is Code of Courage by Janice Cantor. All right, so this one says, Detective Danny Grace has never met a police officer who wants to face a scenario where pulling the trigger on another person is the only option. When the worst does occur and there's a police-involved shooting, it leads to riots and calls to disband the entire police force in La Rosa, Danny's hometown. After 15 years on the force, Danny has had enough. Injured in the line of duty when a protester throws a chunk of concrete at her, and shaken by the vitriol being shown to the police, Danny realizes for the first time that she's lost her passion for the job. So this one, again, sounds really good. All these sound really good. I don't know how I'm going to find the time to read all of these new releases this year, but I'm going to sure try because I'm finding some really good ones that sound really, really interesting. So that one, yes, comes out on July 19th. Okay, next one comes out on July 26th, and this one is The Librarian Spy by Madeline Martin. And so this one is, I believe, another World War II historical fiction. And it says, Ava thought her job as a librarian at the Library of Congress would mean a quiet, routine existence. But an unexpected offer from the U.S. military has brought her to Lisbon with a new mission, posing as a librarian while working undercover as a spy gathering intelligence. Meanwhile, in occupied France, Elaine has begun an apprenticeship at a printing press run by members of the resistance. It's a job usually reserved for men, but in the war, those rules have been forgotten. Yet she knows that the Nazis are searching for the press and its printer in order to silence them. So it sounds really good. I really do enjoy historical fiction, World War II books, as long as they're done really well. I think this one is going to be pretty good. And yeah, so I'm excited for that one too. I'm excited for all these. Can you tell? I'm really excited. Okay, so those are our last two in July. All right, now we're going on to our books that are going to be published in August. So the first one is The Last Way Home by Liz Johnson. There's not really much description on here, so it's very short. It just says, a disgraced former NHL player and a local artist are thrown together when her pottery studio burns to the ground on the day he returns to Prince Edward Island. But as they work together to rebuild, their secrets will come out, putting even their hearts on the line. So that's all it says. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Pretty Little Pieces by Carmen Schober. And she is the author of another book that I really want to read, After She Falls. And that one also sounds really good. I don't think the two are connected. So this one says, ambitious influencer Georgina Havoc and her designer beau Lance Brozard have been dubbed the next Chip and Joanna Gaines, but their happily ever after falls apart when Lance blindsides her with a pause. The show must go on, so Georgina takes on the task of renovating a forgotten cottage in the tiny, tight-knit town of Tarragon, Tennessee on her own. Georgina has a plan to save her relationship and her show, but a surprise drop-in from her troubled twin sister makes things extra messy. That and the presence of rugged ex-sniper Cassidy Stokes who throws a wrench in all her plans. As she puts the pieces of her rippled life back together, will Georgina retreat to the familiar or embrace a new design? So the cover is really gorgeous too. I really like that cover. So I'm really excited to check out another new author. A lot of these are new authors to me, and so I'm really excited to try all of their books out. Okay, and the next book that is coming out is Love and the Dream Come True, and that comes out, I lost it, August 2nd. And it is by Tammy L. Gray. This is the third book in the State of Grace series. I haven't even read the first one yet, so I'll read the description for the first one since I don't want to spoil it for you or for me. So the first one is called Love and a Little White Lie. And this one says, January Sanders grew up believing karma was more reliable than an imaginary higher power. But after suffering her worst heartbreak in 29 years, she's open to just about anything, including taking a temporary position at her aunt's church. Keeping her lack of faith a secret, January is determined to use her photographic memory to help Grace community's overworked staff, all while scraping herself off rock bottom. What she doesn't count on is meeting the church's handsome and charming guitarist, who not only is a strong believer, but has also dedicated his life to Christian music. It's a match set for disaster, and yet January has no ability to stay away, even if it means pretending to have faith in a God she doesn't believe in. So there's going to be some heartbreak in that last part, that's for sure. Like, you can't pretend a relationship with God. Like, it just won't work. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. I'm sure she will hopefully and prayerfully find Jesus. But so yeah, so that series, I've heard really good things about that series, so I'm excited. So this one, again, another new author, but all of her books sound so good. I don't know why I haven't picked one up yet. They sound so good. So this one is The Fossil Hunter by Taya Cooper. I believe she is an Australian author. But this one, I think all of her books take place in Australia. I've always wanted to go to Australia, so I'm just excited for this one. This might be my very first one that I ever pick up by this author, so I'm excited. So this one says, buried secrets, an ancient fossil, and one woman's determination to unravel a 19th century mystery. So it says, so it's dual timeline, 1847 and 1919. So it says, Australia, 1847, the last thing Melly Vale remembers before the fever takes her is sprinting through the bush with the monster at her heels. But no one believes her. In a bid to curb Melly's overactive imagination, her benefactors send her to visit a family friend, Anthea. Anthea is an amateur paleontologist convinced she will one day find proof that great sea dragons swam in the vast inland sea that covered her property millions of years ago. Melly is instantly swept up in the dream. And then 1919, Penelope arrives home from the battlefields of World War I, intent on making peace with her father and commemorating the deaths of her two younger brothers in the trenches. Her reception is disappointing. Desperate for a distraction, she finds a connection between a fossil at London's Natural History Museum and her brother's favorite camping spot. Also the last place they were seen before falsifying their ages to join the army. So kind of interested to see the mystery that's going on in these two stories. So yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I think that'll probably be my first Taya Cooper book that I ever try. I'm really excited for that one. On to the ones that are coming out in September. So I think I have 6 to talk about. Yeah, 6. So September is a pretty busy month for new releases. The first one comes out on the 1st of September, and this one is called The Dangerous Beauty by Melissa Coslin. And this cover, again, just drew me right in. It looks kind of creepy and mysterious, and I'm all about it. I think it's going to be great. So it says, another hard name to pronounce, Liliana Vela hates the term victim. She's not a victim, she's a fighter. Stubborn and strong with a quiet elegance, she's determined to take back her life after escaping the clutches of human traffickers in her poor Mexican village. But she can't stay safely over the border in America unless the man who aided in her rescue is serious about his unconventional proposal to marry him. So, kind of interested. I'm guessing a little bit of romance, a little bit of possibly some action and adventure going on in this book, possibly a little bit of heartbreak. So I think it's got a lot of everything in this book, and I think it's going to be really great. All right, the next one comes out on the 5th of September, and this one is Come Down Somewhere by Jennifer L. Wright. So this might be another World War II one. Apparently, we have a lot of those this summer. So this one says, 16-year-old Olive Alexander has lived on a ranch in the Jornada del Muerto region of southern New Mexico her entire life. But when World War II begins, the government seizes her family's land for the construction of a new top-secret army post. While her mother remains behind, Olive is forced to live in nearby Alamogordo with her grandmother and find a place in a new school. When Joe Hawthorne crosses her path, Olive sees a chance for friendship, until she learns that Joe's father is the army sergeant who now occupies her beloved ranch. Already angry about her new reality, Olive pushes Joe away. But as she struggles to make sense of her grandmother's lapses into the past and increasingly unsettling hints about what's happening at the ranch, she slowly warms to Joe's winsome faith and steady attempts at friendship, until one devastating day when the sky explodes around them and their lives are torn apart. So, another really gripping one, I'm sure, and heartbreaking. Apparently I want to cry this summer with some of these books, but I think they're also going to be really good. Okay, so the next one that's coming out is Still My Forever by Kim Vogel-Sawyer. So I read my first Kim book last month, I think. Yeah, last month. It was The Librarian of Boone's Hollow, and I loved it. So I definitely want to pick up more by this author. I don't think it's part of a series. No, it's not. Okay, so this one, again, I don't even know what it's about because I just knew I was probably going to read it. So this one says, can a frustrated composer find a new inspiration with the woman who once made his heart sing? So 4 years after leaving town to make a name for himself as a composer, Gilbert Beatty has returned temporarily to Falk, Kansas. Now he's trying to keep everyone from learning the truth about his disastrous years in New York City. He hopes to start writing music again in Falk, but he can't help being distracted by Ava Fleming, the brown-eyed baker to whom he was briefly engaged before he ended things, and who still stirs feelings in him he knows he has no right to pursue. Sounds good. All right, and then we have our only middle grade we're going to talk about. I tried to find more middle grade, but maybe I should have done more research before I did this video, but I wanted to make sure this video got out to you all. But this is the one that I've been excited about since the beginning of the year, actually. I had this on my list. And this one is called Sweet and Sour by Debbie Machiko Florence. I think it's Machiko. But this one is a middle grade novel about ex-best friends, betrayals, and revenge that is best served sour. Revenge is sweet. For as long as she can remember, Mai has spent every summer in Mystic, Connecticut, visiting family friends, and hanging out with her best friend since birth, Zach Koyama, was always the best part. Then 2 summers ago, everything changed. Zach humiliated Mai, proving he wasn't a friend at all. So when Zach's family moved to Japan, Mai felt relieved. No more summers together, no more heartache. But this year, the Koyamas have returned and the family vacation is back on. And if Mai has to spend this summer around Zach, the least she can do is wipe away the memory of his betrayal by coming up with the perfect plan for revenge. So, sounds really good. I'm really intrigued to read this book. Then the next one that's coming out is on September 13th, coming out, Fallout by Carrie Stewart Parks. I still have not read a Carrie Stewart Parks. You know how much I want to read them, or at least if you've been around a while, you know I really want to read her books. I've heard so many good things about her books. I don't even think I've really heard anything, not even mixed reviews. Everybody loves pretty much all of her books. So I'm really excited to read one of her books. This might be the first one, possibly. So this one says, let's see. In the dusty farming community of La Crosse, Washington, art teacher Samantha Williams manages to save her students when an SUV crashes into the school. Her car isn't so lucky. Oddly, her purse, containing a driver's license, credit cards, and other identification, is missing from the wreckage, forcing her to rely on the kindness of strangers. Never one to trust easily, Samantha is thrust into a world far different from her simple life of jigsaw puzzles, children's books, and lectures at the library. So, her purse was stolen. I'm kind of interested to see. I'm interested to learn why her purse was stolen. Something's going on. A mystery's going on. This cover, again, blue and green, my favorite colors. I think it's going to be good. And then the last one, which is I am so excited this is coming out. You all know how much I loved In Search of a Prince. I actually have it somewhere. In Search of a Prince by Tony Shiloh. The sequel is coming out in September on the 13th, I think. The same as the other book, yeah. So the September 13th, the sequel to In Search of a Prince by Tony Shiloh is coming out. I'm so excited. So this one is called To Win a Prince, and I believe this book is about Princess Brielle's best friend. So we get to see more of her life, and I'm just all excited. So it's about Iris Blakely. She dreams of using her talent as a fashion designer to help citizens in impoverished areas. So I really don't want to read anything because I don't know if it spoils anything in the other book. I don't think it really does, but just know it's about her best friend. That book was really, really, really good, and I'm really excited to read the sequel. I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm excited. Okay, so that is the last book that I had to talk about today. A lot of really great books, a lot of books I want to get to before the end of the year. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.